Thank you for tuning in to watch this. This is the first episode in the series I'm going to call My Bronchiectasis Bio. It's just a chance for me to really explain my story, a bit about how it's gone since my diagnosis a few years back, all the way to the point I'm at now where I'm training as an athlete. Bronchiectasis. It is a long-term lung condition. Not many people have heard of it. It's not as well known as cystic fibrosis, which is basically its brother disease. What it does is it clogs you up with loads of mucus and you end up producing more and more and more, and you just struggle to get rid of it. This leads to continuous chest infections, one after another, which then leads to damage on the lungs. So I spend a lot of my time coughing up lots of phlegm. Mornings can be the worst time for me. Basically, after I sleep, I've had all that built up overnight, so I need to cough it all up, cough and cough and cough. Quite often I'll end up throwing up. That's really quite common. I just get on with it, 2-3 times I'm going to throw up and then I'm going to feel much better. It all gets up off my chest then. That's a standard morning really, and then I like to get up, I like to stretch my chest out and do a little bit of exercise, bit of chest clearance stuff that I've got going on. I'll show you a bit about that in another episode. So if you've got any questions, feel free to message me over Facebook or my email. I'm happy to answer anything sensible, obviously, and keep sharing this basically. If you know anyone that has the condition, share it to them, or if you just want to discuss about the condition, really kind of raise the awareness of this condition, because I don't think it gets the publicity it deserves. It is quite a nasty one for us people who suffer with it. So I'm going to start briefly at the start. So when I was 17, I got quite ill. I spent about 6 months really struggling to breathe, in a lot of pain with my chest and my stomach. In the end, I ended up going into a hospital. I spent about a year in there, quite a rough time. I went in and I was really skinny, really unhealthy, I could hardly breathe. And I was diagnosed at the time with a weird type of pneumonia, which also wiped out a lot of my white blood cell count and scarred my lungs. After spending quite a long time in the hospital, I was diagnosed with bronchiectasis. I didn't really know what that was. I just knew I was struggling for breath constantly. Every time I got better, I would get ill again really fast. It was literally a constant chest infection the whole time for about that first year. Obviously, they put me on a lot of medication and got it all under control. And then they sent me off to carry on under the GPs and things like that. So it's been going quite well for the last 10 years. I keep it under control, obviously, with my daily meds and a bit of exercise now. So the last 10 years have been a bit hit and miss. I could wake up one day and my chest could be really bad. The next day it could be a lot better, Otherwise, I suffered from several lung collapses, 3 on each side. That happened a few years back. They stuck this one to my rib cage. So now if I turn like that, I can feel it pulling, and if I just stretch, I can feel it pulling down here, and just different movements become quite uncomfortable, but it's something I've had to get used to. It's not a surgery I would wish upon anybody, honestly. So my fitness journey started a couple of years after the lung collapses, maybe a year and a half, and it basically just started with lots of walking, and just building up a bit of stamina really. When it hurt, I just had to sit down for a minute and get up and do it again, really kind of push my body. I mean, even now, it depends on my chest on how far I can actually walk. Some days I can get up and run a marathon, as you can probably tell from my other videos. Some days, honestly, my chest just won't do it. It just won't. I can't explain why. Might be the air. So I have to take every day as it comes, really. So what I did next was I jumped in at a deep end and I signed up to a local boxing club. They were really good for fitness, obviously, but it was horrible, absolutely horrible. So I would try and run and I would cough. I would do a press up and I would cough. But they knew I was going to cough. Everyone knew the situation. I've always been honest about it. So when I cough, no one thinks nothing of it. There was times we would do hill sprints and stuff, and I would just end up having a little coughing fit at the end of each lap, but I'd go again and push myself every time to do the next one. Every time I'd really push. And eventually I got stronger and fitter, and I carried on pushing as much as I could. Every day I would go out running, every day I would train, regardless of if I should or shouldn't. The days where my chest is really bad, again, I just do what my body can do, because you're still gaining. You know, if you're pushing your body to its limit every time, it can only get better or break. And I'd rather try. So that's basically all I'm going to tell you in this first episode, just a little snippet really. The next one I'll release in about a month's time. I'll go into a bit more detail of what happened next, the sorts of things I do next. And yeah, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I'm going to release loads of videos. I've got loads of cool content coming up, loads of free stuff coming up. Just make sure you're following the pages and keeping your eye on it. See you later.